Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today I want to talk a little bit about Modern Warfare 2, the new Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 2022. The names of this franchise are getting worse and worse as we go, but as you all know, the game is coming. You wouldn't know it because there has been like no news for the game really whatsoever, but I feel as though this is going to be like the calm before the storm. I feel like when the alpha starts coming, then the beta, then the leaks and the rumors, the news, like we're like waiting on that. Like it's going to be happening very soon, but right now there's really nothing going on. So I wanted to go back to a video I made a couple of months ago. You guys may have heard of it. It's a video where I talked about Warzone 2. I had a Warzone 2 playtester contact me and tell me a bit about what he saw, and that video blew up a little bit. Everyone in the community was talking about it because it was kind of like the first Warzone 2 news that we had. And one bit in there, I mentioned the firing range that had actual numbers popping up. And I think we're kind of like underselling how good of a feature that is going to be should it make its full way into Modern Warfare 2 as was Warzone 2. When it comes to COD, how do you know what is the best attachment for your weapon? You don't. I mean, just look at some of these clips right here. I'm going through, this is my first time on Vanguard in a while. I'm like, well, I wouldn't like re-kit up my Volkssturmgewehr here, but like, what is the best way to go? Like, do I just go with like low recoil and just kind of focus on that? I mean, some of these things increase damage, but they add recoil and stuff. Is that good? I really can't tell. I'm just kind of guessing as to what I'm putting together there. Typically, the only way to figure this stuff out is trial and error, and of course, amazing YouTubers like Exclusive Ace, Drifter, JGod, people like that, right? It's very convoluted. COD attachments have always been convoluted, even going back to like Call of Duty 4, when we had like 3, maybe 4 attachments. When you had your M16 in COD 4, you had a red dot, a silencer, an ACOG, or a grenade launcher. That was it. You would think, yep, that's pretty simple, right? Well, not quite so, because as I made many videos about back during Modern Warfare Remastered, certain attachments had weird quirks for certain weapons. For example, if you put a silencer on your G3, it made it so your knife just didn't really work whatsoever. If you put a red dot sight on your AK-47, for some reason that reduced your damage at range. There was a number of quirks in that game, and there's been quirks in every game going into World at War, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, so on and so forth. And basically it came down to people digging around within the game files, having to figure out the actual damage numbers, make charts online for people that are way too into the game to look up and find, and then try to derive more information from that, right? It's always been very complex, whereas other games have figured this stuff out years ago. Just show the numbers in game. We don't need to see it when we're actually playing multiplayer. Can you imagine as I'm running around and shooting here, if like every time I shot somebody, like numbers would pop up? That would be a little bit too much visual noise. But we have the firing range. The firing range has been a feature off and on for a lot of years now. It first came out way back in Advanced Warfare. We had it during Call of Duty World War II. We've had it in Modern Warfare Remastered, as well as a couple of other games, I think. And in there, it's kind of fun because you can try out some attachments. You go in there, you start shooting your gun, you get a feel for what it's like, but you don't know exactly what is happening to your weapon. How do you fix that? Make it so damage numbers appear in the firing range. And the playtester said that the firing range did actually show those numbers during his testing of Warzone 2, as well as potentially DMZ. And so what can we get from that? We get better weapon balance. People can actually see how much damage per bullet their weapon does. They can see what attachments like suppressors actually do to their damage range. They can see what long barrels do to their damage range. They can go and test that stuff out in game and actually get a proper feel for each attachment as well as each weapon. Now, for me personally, I'm not actually a very big fan of like 70 weapon levels because it always turns out most of those attachments are kind of useless. For some of the super gun nerds out there, it's fun because you can make super crazy kits and things like that. But in general, most guns have like maybe 10 good attachments. I mean, do we really need 40 different optical sights? Probably not, right? But there's a couple of good attachments for each gun. You test out those attachments, and then you get yourself kind of like a baseline for that particular weapon. And from there, the community can see what every update does. They can try out and test out all these different things. They can see how the gun actually performs in-game as compared to theoretically. And then weapon balance is going to be better just as a result, because not only will the community be playtesting for the developers, but there's also going to be like this unprecedented amount of clarity between the developers and the player base when it comes to actual weapon balance. We could think of most COD games out there. What was like the OP gun in Modern Warfare 2019? What was the OP gun in Black Ops Cold War? You guys all know the answers to these things, right? Well, because information about weapons and weapon balance has been so convoluted and kind of shrouded in mystery throughout the entirety of the Call of Duty lifespan, developers have been able to get away with pretty unbalanced weapons at times. And if the player base actually has access to this information, they can do the testing themselves and show the stuff to the developers developers more easily than just having a couple of specific YouTubers that are really good at what they do, but let's be honest, like there's not that many of them really, well then I think the player base is going to benefit pretty greatly as a whole. So it definitely sounds like a pretty awesome feature. That's one of the few features that we do know that may be coming with Modern Warfare 2, and we've been kind of just waiting and hoping to get more news and information about that game, but it's been very slim pickings for us as of late. But Modern Warfare 2, I think Infinity Ward typically does like a good job with weapon balance mostly in their games. I think it's because the time to kill is so fast that it really doesn't seem to matter aside from one-shot kill weapons. But if they are going into this game with the idea that they want to make these damage profiles and recoil patterns, like everything else, like completely transparent to the community, that says to me that the next 2 years are going to be very interesting with weapon balance updates and weapon balance in general, which should make the game feel better, and as a result, there's an entire domino effect there, where if the game feels better, the weapons feel balanced, you can use what you want, as compared to having that feeling of being forced to use like the meta gun or the OP gun. Like that could be a really good thing for COD going forward. There's always going to be a best weapon, and nerds are always going to gravitate towards that best weapon, but I feel as though with a proper firing range, which apparently is what we're getting, things could change. Keep in mind the alpha's not even out yet, but if that's what we're getting, then that's definitely some awesome news for Modern Warfare 2 and the Call of Duty franchise going forward. But ladies and gentlemen, that is all for this short little video here today. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments. What other features like this have you been begging for COD for years that you hope to see in Modern Warfare 2? I would actually be really interested to read about that down there in the comment section below. What has COD never added that you've really been wanting them to add? Let me know about that, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.